The Grainfather G70 has finally made it to the United States. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the specifications, do a boil test, and even look under the hood and see what's inside. How's it going? My name's Brian. I'd like to welcome you to another video. If this is your first time here and you want to learn more about electric brewing, see how-to videos and product reviews just like this one, consider subscribing, and if you do, don't forget to click that bell so you won't miss a video when it comes out. Full disclosure, as always with my reviews, Grainfather did send me the unit. It is not mine to keep. It's on loan for a couple of weeks, so I'm going to do my best to try to crank through some videos and brew days and stuff on it so I can give you a total opinion. In this video, we're just going to kind of take a look at a few things on it. One of the things I was definitely interested in was how it boiled. There have been a couple other videos out there and the boil was kind of paltry, and then also how it maintains temperature. So let's jump into taking a look at the construction of it and some of the features that are on the G70. Now, according to Grainfather's website, the maximum pre-boil on this unit is going to be 18.5 gallons or 70 liters. The batch size maximum is going to be 17.2 gallons or 65 liters. And the minimum batch size, according to their website, is 40 liters or 10.5 gallons. Now, according to the website, the maximum grain bill that this thing can hold is 37.5 pounds, and the minimum grain bill is 17.6 pounds. Now, it does say that there is some micro pipework that is going to be required for the minimum grain weight. And in the US here, it is 3,300 watts power at 240 volts, 60 hertz. Now, the controller design is definitely new for this model. It does plug into the bottom of the unit and has a cord that runs up the outside to the actual control itself. It does connect to Wi-Fi, and so it is controllable via the app. And that's just a matter of simply pairing it with your Wi-Fi and then adding it to the app on your phone or whatever device it is if you're going to control it that way. One of the other things that they did add to this unit is handles on the outside. They're very, very sturdy, and you're able to move around pretty easily with that. The other thing that is new for the Grainfather is the sight glass. One of the things about the sight glass, it's a little bit hard to see the volume inside, and it's funny because if you do more than like a 10 or 11 gallon batch, there's a barrier right in the middle, kind of a brace in the middle of the pipework that covers up the volumes between 11 and 12 gallons. So that's a little bit kind of frustrating when I looked at it to fill it up with water with the boil test. The other thing that is new on the G70 is the pipework. It has a center drain in the bottom, and that drain actually comes out to both the outside spigot or a drain spigot, and then it also works as part of the recirculation tube at the top of the unit. Now, gone is the recirculation arm that you saw on the smaller G30 unit, and it is replaced by a recirculation port that you simply plug in a hose to, and then you recirculate that way. There is a new hop filter for the bottom, and that is a double hop filter. Basically, it has a flat plate as well as a round cup, if you will, that goes down into the bottom of the conical center drain on the unit. Looks to work pretty good from what I can see, and we'll find out when I use it on the double IPA that I'm going to brew on the system, and then I'll let you know for sure about that. The screen for the mash tun is a little bit different. They actually went with a little heavier gauge metal and did a rolled edge around the outside of the mash screen, which definitely gives it a little bit more rigidity and makes it feel a little bit more solid. The same thing with the top screen. It also has a rolled edge on it so that it is a little bit stronger and a little bit more durable, it would appear. And then it also has some handles on either side for you to be able to pick it up out of the top of the mash. The mash basket legs are very durable from what I can tell. The new mash basket handle also is very, very sturdy, and they suggest using 2 people to do it or a winch to do it. One of the other things that they do send with it is they send some spare parts. There's some various O-rings. There is a cap, what looks like it probably goes over the spigot, so when you do the clean in place, you can kind of circulate through the ball valve and everything and get a little bit of cleaning solution in there. There is also an adapter fitting to connect the hose from the recirculation port to the sight glass. The other thing that it did come with was the counterflow chiller, and the counterflow chiller is definitely a much more sizable unit than the original one that was on the G30. As you can see here with them sitting side by side, it definitely looks like it's going to do a better job at cooling. They did upgrade that, which is nice. So one of the other things I was curious about was the insides of the unit. So I flipped it over and took a look at the bottom, and I found a couple interesting things on the bottom cover. There are some holes for vents, and then there is another larger circular hole that has a grill on it. and it kind of looked like there's some kind of a fan or something inside. So it intrigued me, and I took the bottom off, and it was kind of interesting what I found there. The pump is definitely larger than the original G30 pump. It looks like a much sturdier pump. It has 1/2-inch tubing that's running from both the inlet and the outlet. Looks like it's definitely, it definitely is higher flow than what the original one was. Also saw that it looks like there is one heating element in the device, according to the wiring that I saw. It looks like there's just one cord that runs into the base of the unit. I didn't take it apart completely because I didn't want to mess with unhooking the hoses and all that stuff, but just wanted to take a quick look on the underside. The other thing I noticed while I was in there was that the control box is like a big black box underneath the bottom, has a US sticker on it. So I don't know if maybe that is designated for the US. It does have a bunch of different designations, US, UK, and some of those other countries. And so I don't know if maybe it was made specifically for the US. But one of the interesting things that I did find, and you can't even hear it when it's running, but in the black box there is actually a fan. And if you look really closely whenever I spin the fan, you can actually see a pretty large heat sink. So I'm assuming that there is an SSR or some kind of solid state relay in there that fan is cooling, which is, definitely a good idea for longevity. But one of the things that I will say that I was kind of concerned with, the fan does suck in some air, but if you have the unit sitting on a flat surface, there are only 2 small channels that allow the air to circulate through the unit. So, I mean, if you had it sitting on anything that was kind of a pad or anything like that, or, maybe even a piece of cork or something, I might be concerned about it blocking off those small channels that lead to that fan for cooling the control system. One of the other things that you do need to know for the US unit is it does use a 15 amp, basically a flat 240 volt plug. So I'll put a link in the description down for the type of plug socket that you would need to run this unit. So based on a few other videos that I saw, I definitely wanted to do a boil test. So my test was I filled the unit up with cold water, and my tap water was about 57 degrees when I filled it up. Filled it up all the way to 12 gallons. I figure that's pretty close to a maximum size, or maximum pre-boil for a 10-gallon batch. And fired it up and let it run, and it got all the way up to 210 degrees. I set it on 212. It got up to 210 degrees, and I was a little perplexed by that, but then I started thinking about elevation and that type of thing, and did a check, and we are basically about 1,137 feet above sea level here where I live at, and according to the calculator that I looked at, 210 degrees is boiling. And, from the all indications inside, it was boiling. So, I mean, I used my eyes and I could tell that it was definitely boiling. It wasn't a super vigorous boil. I do kind of wonder if the hop filter or the bottom screen has something to do with with it not boiling quite as vigorously as I would think, or I would hope it might, because of the fact that it's got to, escape out from underneath of the screen there. The other thing I wanted to test was how well did it hold a temperature, because I'd seen some other videos and saw some issues with that. So I went ahead and drained off some of the water, put some colder water back into it, and dropped the temperature down to 180 degrees. And once I did that, I set it up for 180 degrees and let it sit there. As you can see, I did a time lapse, basically a 15-minute time lapse, which works out to be like 30 seconds on film here. And it basically held 179 degrees even. It never did get to 180. So I don't know if that's a calibration issue with the sensor inside, which you can go into the menu and calibrate that. That's not a huge issue. But it did hold the 179 degrees for the full 15-20 minutes that the time lapse went. So I don't see any issues with that as far as I can tell. Now you're probably wondering, what does this thing cost and when is it available? Now, according to the information that I got from Grainfather, it is currently available on their website, and you can order online and actually have it shipped to the States. I did talk to some large companies here in the States, and none of them actually have a release or ship date to them yet. So it is only available for sale on the Grainfather website. And currently the US price is $1,998. So I guess, the question is, there is a growing competition in this space for larger brewing systems, more sophisticated brewing systems. Leave me a comment down below on what your thoughts are as far as the pricing. I'd be really curious to know your thoughts on what you think the market is for it, as well as if you're interested in purchasing one. It certainly is a premium price for a product. There are a couple of things that I saw in the product that was kind of gave me a little pause. One of the things was the welds at the bottom. They're not really rough or anything like that, but you can definitely see where it looked like they used a resistant spot welder on the bottom, and there's a lot of dimples in the bottom of there. I would have hoped maybe at the price point that it would have been somewhat smoother in the bottom. It's not necessarily a deal breaker, but it kind of left me it gave me a little bit of pause as far as the quality of the construction of it. Based on what I saw, it doesn't look like that the element is replaceable from what I saw. There probably are some things in there that are replaceable. I know that the cords came hooked up to switches and whatnot, so it looked like the black box is somewhat removable. I didn't try to remove any of that. I am looking forward to brewing on it, so stay tuned for that video. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you found this video informative, give us a thumbs up. We certainly appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. This has been Brian for Short Circuited Brewers. We'll see you on the next video.